All right, on today's show, I welcome on a very special guest. He is Juan Robinson. He is a retired professional basketball player and owner and founder of Life of Hoops. Juan, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Just happy to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, very excited to have you on the show. As I mentioned, I was a big fan of yours when you were playing at URI. So just
Yeah,
excited to, actually be talking to you and have you on the show. So it's awesome.
thanks, man. You remember some good tape. You remember some good days. So you
Yeah.
was a real fan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, of course. I remember those game winners. There's a few of those I remember
There was
watching
a
out there.
few of them, man. There was a
Yeah,
few of them. It's
yeah.
crazy.
It was absolutely crazy. But
Yeah.
uh, I know that you're owner and founder of Life of Hoops. But before we get into Life of Hoops and how you started Life of Hoops here in Rhode Island, I want to, kind of get into your background about you and maybe some things that the listeners don't know about you as well too. But first, I want to know, and I asked a lot of my guests on the show, like, how did you fall in love with the game of basketball itself?
Oh man. I don't know. It's just it kind of just something that fell in my hand. I always loved just the feel of the basketball and just dribbling it. I love dribbling the ball. So I
Yeah,
would walk around the neighborhood with it. I was the kid with the basketball in my hand all the time, just dribbling up and down the block. You know what I mean? So it came natural to me. You know what I mean? And it was fun to just do moves and just it was a way to be very creative. So I used to just have all these moves in my head and I would walk around trying to create new moves and do new things. So it was something that gave me a lot of creativity.
that's awesome. That's great. And like, how did it like just grow and develop? Like, is there a player that inspired you or a family member, or is it just something just from dribbling the basketball around that you just like realized it was all you?
Yeah, it just developed just from dribbling basketball. I got an older brother, Robinson, and he was a basketball player, so I had somebody to push me. You know what I mean? That makes it a lot easier when you got like a sibling that you can just compete with every day. So me and him would have our little battles, but it started early. You know what I mean? Because I had a bigger brother that was playing the sport. You know what I mean? So I automatically gravitated to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it brought me so much joy. You know what I mean? And this one I knew was, and I used to do like a form of gymnastics before this. You know what I mean? I
Really?
played a little bit of football too. Um, but I used to just do it. I used to tumble all the time. Me and my friends would get all these mattresses and we would just do flips on them. And I was really good at that.
Yeah.
But the basketball came and I knew that was the sport that I was going to play.
That's awesome. That's great. And that's interesting about the gymnastics and just tumbling around and
Oh
doing
yeah,
front
that
flips.
was like my favorite, man. We used to do flips. We used to climb roofs and do flips off a person, rope house or something. It was crazy.
That's
We was
crazy.
wild.
That's
Yeah,
my
we was wild.
reminds me of when I was a kid. When I used to like watch wrestling, I used to like do like flips. So I'm like on a
Yeah,
mattress to
yeah,
feel like one of those
that was
guys
us.
from the top rope or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was us. That was
Yeah,
us.
I
Yeah.
love it. And then, so what was your recruiting process like, and how did you end up at the University of Rhode Island?
Well, I wasn't. I really basketball was just fun for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I never looked at it like a way out or scholarships or NBA. I mean, I love the NBA. I love Allen Iverson and stuff, but I never thought that was a dream. I never thought I would be able to make it that far. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Um, I was in the streets a lot, just having fun with my friends. You know what I mean? So I think when I got to high school, it became a little bit more serious because I had to like actually make a team. You know, before that, I just a man in the neighborhood always had a neighborhood team, and I always play on that team, and we
yeah,
played just in different neighborhoods. But it was nothing. I never played AAU. I played probably like two tournaments at AAU. It was just something I couldn't get into. I didn't like it, so I wasn't heavily recruited. My first year in high school, I didn't even try out because I was more like a street ball player. You know, I did the and one moves. I was on and one mixtape volume 3. So I was more of an and one guy. And
yeah,
then high school, I had to make a team. So I was like, all right, let me go out for this team. But I was a little scared because it was like organized ball. So I didn't go out the first year. My brother was pissed at me, but I lied. I was like, oh, I forgot. He was like, how did you forget that? He was pissed. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So I didn't play my first year. My second year, I played and I averaged like 5 points. And then my third year, my junior year, I averaged 17. Then my senior year, I averaged 32. And
Wow.
it was like me and Dawan Wagner. Dawan Wagner was like
Yep.
right across the bridge in Jersey, and I was in Philly. So we was like holding the scoring titles of our states or whatever. And we used to get a lot of comparisons, and guys wanted to play us, each other and everything like that. But it was just something that I never saw the future with it. I was just living in the moment.
Wow. That's crazy. So what was like when you take that like step to like, start averaging all those points to like more recruit, like coaches start taking interest, and like how did like what coaches, like what teams are really interested in you to really start thinking about playing at the college level?
Well, after high school, I scored all these points,
Yeah.
and I had not one. I didn't even have a Division I letter. Like,
Really?
I didn't even have a Division II letter.
Oh my God.
I probably had like a D3 letter, and I'm crying in the house like, yo, I'm averaging 32. I'm all everything,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't even have a look. So my mom's like, what are you going to do? So I'm like, Mom, like, I'm gonna just take a year off. Like, she like, why don't you go to a junior college? I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to a junior college. She's
Yeah.
like, why not? It's a school. I'm like, Mom, because I know I'm better than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was serious. I was going to take a year off, and she got in touch with a friend of hers that she knew from playing basketball, who played in the NBA back in the day with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at UCLA. He was All-American. His name was Andre McCarter. He lived in LA, but he went to this prep school called MCI, which was in Maine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I knew Katino Mobley had went there. So I knew a little bit about the school and the situation. I knew it was a prep school. I knew some NBA guys came out of there. So I was open to it. I was like, all right, I'll do prep, as long as it don't interfere with my college years.
Yeah.
I went to prep school. It was like last minute. They wanted like 3,000. My parents didn't have the money, so a friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, him and his brothers gave us, me and my family, money. It was like a last day thing. We drove all the way to Maine. As I'm getting there, the bus is all loaded, ready to leave to this. I think it was like a Bob Huggins tournament.
Yeah.
And it was a big time tournament. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I don't know nothing about none of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just playing basketball.
Yeah.
I get to the tournament, like the coach, like, look, just put your bags down, hop in the van. I grab my sneakers and everything. I go to this tournament, I kill a tournament. So everybody's like coming up to like, yo, where you from? Where you from? I'm like, oh, Philly. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it started there, prep school, and it was elite competition against NBA guys that was like future NBA guys. Rashard McCants, Francisco Garcia, a few other guys. But it was elite competition, and it brought the best out of me. I was like, every weekend it was something tough. So I remember my parents came, my mom came to a game. This was the first time my mom ever seen me play. We were playing against Rashard McCants. I scored 52 against Rashard McCants. And this is my first, 48. And this is the first game my mom ever seen me play. So she's like, oh, my baby goes to the oh, it was so funny, but I was so happy to just give her this much joy. She was so happy. And but as I'm playing, schools start to reach out.
Yeah.
I had Western Kentucky, I had Pitt, I had Texas, I had who else? LaSalle, a few other schools, you know, but it came down, and then URI, you know what I mean? So I knew Catino went there. I knew Tyson Wheeler. I knew a little bit about the school, not much. So I started taking visits. I went to Pitt, I went to Miami, I went to West Kentucky, and I was like, when I went to URI, it was beautiful. I was coming from Maine. I'm an inner city kid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see like these animals like deer and moose. So I go to Maine and I'm seeing all of this cool stuff. And I'm just seeing lakes with the snow around it. It was just beautiful. You know what I mean? It opened my mind. So I was like, this is really cool. So when I got to URI, it was like the same thing. They took me to a beach house party that was amazing. It was right there on the water. So you come out, you just walk on the water and relax, like 4 a.m. It was just a real relaxed way of living. And coming from Philadelphia, I had just lost a best friend of mine. And it was just kind of like, I just wanted to get away. You know what I mean? So this was the perfect place for me when I came to visit. Now, I committed to Pitt. It was Big East. Everything, my brother, like, yo, it's Big East. You got to go Big East. And I committed to Pitt. My mom was like, look, you got to call that guy at URI. I like that coach. Who was Desmond Oliver, who recruited me.
Yeah.
And, I called him back and I was like, Coach, I decided to go to Pitt. Thank you very much. He talked me out of it right there. Boom. Next thing you know, I'll commit to URI. And that's how it all started.
That's awesome. And that's great. Glad that you committed to URI. And, you know, what was your time at URI? I mean, they had built the Ryan Center and had a whole new facility. It's completely different from Keeney Gym too, as well, too. I remember being the old Keeney Gym, like sitting in the stands, and then you walk into the Ryan Center. It's this beautiful facility now. What's it like, you know, your time playing at URI, and what sticks out the most to you?
It was amazing, man, because a lot of kids make bad decisions when they're going to school.
Yeah.
They just go to the school with the name, and they're not going to the school that best suits you as a person and your skills as a player. You know what I mean? So when I came to URI, everything was set for me. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to start the first year. Howard Smith beat me out of the spot, but he was a veteran point guard that showed me the ropes, and it started with defense.
Yeah.
So he groomed me that first year, but I had time to. And when I came in, my second year was all ready for me, and I just kind of just took it all over. You know what I mean? And the memories, the game winners, the people, the everything, man. It was some crazy. And then at the Ryan Center, like we opened that gym up. Like, you know what I mean? It was a lot of changes being made because it was the Lamar Odom era and the Zach Marbury era where they was trying to clean things up. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
Coach Barron was like, look, everybody's going to graduate. You got to go to class. We had a 6 a.m. club where my first year I had to prep. So prop. So I didn't play my first year. So it was killing me because I couldn't play. So I couldn't even be in the gym. This when education really wasn't, this when it hit me like, look, you got to do your schoolwork because I didn't get a high enough grade on my SAT to play the first year. So I had to prop that first year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was so bad. I couldn't even go into the gym to watch the team practice.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
So it created this huge chip on my shoulder. Like when I come back, I'm going to kill everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was training with like this track guy. I got jacked up, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I played intramural and I killed intramural. I was working out so hard. I probably averaged like 40 in intramural. This is where my name on campus started like growing big. They was like, look, it's this one dude that's playing. He's not even on the team yet. Like, why is this dude not on the team? He's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I prop. And I would crawl up into the bleachers at the high stands and watch the team. But these little things created the everlasting moments. It created this chip on my shoulder, and I just wanted to go in there and show everybody who I was and who was this guy, Juan Robinson.
Yeah. Oh my God, you were a hell of a player. When I remember that's why I became an even bigger URI fan when you were playing basketball. And I remember the games and being at the Ryan Center. And the first time I walked in the Ryan Center, you guys would play against Charlotte. And I remember you put a dunk down on someone. And I was like, this is like, yeah, it was crazy. It was awesome to see. And the one game I was always disappointed I missed out on because I had to go.
Don't say Seton Hall. Don't say Seton Hall.
It wasn't Seton. It was the St. Joe's game, I think.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I missed the game-winning shot on that game.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
That game, it was a crazy game because, Jameer Nelson is from Chester. That's not too far from Philly. You know what I mean? So I was getting a lot of those comparisons and hearing that. Like my homies was like, look, you're going against Jameer. And Jameer and Delonte, these guys undefeated. Like Jameer, they both about to go to the NBA. Everybody know it. You know what I mean? This was like the prime moment to really, if you wanted to create a name for yourself, like this was the moment.
Yeah.
So I knew I was like a sophomore. You know what I mean? I knew the ball was going to cut in my hands at this point. My sophomore year, coach was giving me the ball at the end of the games. And I was delivering a lot of the times. You know what I mean? So this game, I knew I just had to get, the whole year I worked on these mid-range, and I never was a mid-range dude. My brother was. He used to tell me, like, look, Dawan, you got to work. You got to shoot the mid-range. So I knew I was going to be able to get a mid-range shot off. And I penetrated. I went to shoot the ball, and I just wasn't on balance. I felt my foot slip a little bit. It took a little bit away from the shot, and I missed. And I was like, dang. Because they was undefeated. That would have oh, my gosh.
That was like crazy. ESPN was there? Wasn't ESPN there?
Yeah,
it was
Nick Vitale was there. It was amazing.
Yeah, it
was ready. It was like the whole the atmosphere was like upset atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was crazy, man.
It was
And then we turned the ball over, remember? At the end?
Yeah. So it was heartbreaking. I remember I do remember that game, but I was like, it was just awesome to see what you were like, you as a player, and like seeing you like play, and like the atmosphere of like when you were there, you hit the game winners, those shots, and like the crowd going nuts. And I just remember like the Ryan Center was like always rocking in some of those games, especially like the game winners and everything. What was it like too to be a part of those like PC rivalry games too?
Oh man, the PC rivalry games was serious, man.
Yeah.
It was just, like I said, man, I think this is why I was so fearless, because I never thought about the situation of the game. I was like, look, I know these guys. Like I was looking at PC guys, like I know these guys. We see them, I'm on. It's time. It's go time. I never looked at it like, yo, this is a rival game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even with all of the games, I never put that pressure on myself because it was just like a game. Like, and I always put the pressure on myself. Like, look, every game you got to do good. If you score 40, you got to, like, after you had your little fun, you hit the delete button and you got to reset, because if you score 2 the next game, that 40 is not even going to look good. You know what I mean? So I always prided myself on being consistent. So I would erase everything after every game. I wouldn't even look at my stats because I didn't want to get caught up in the numbers and everything. You know what I mean? So I would never look at my stats until the end of the season, because I was like, look, that's when it mattered the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always hit the reset button. So in these, I mean, these PC games, these huge games, I never put the pressure on myself like this is a huge game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just living in the moment, man. I was really just living in the moment.
I love it. I love it. It just, you love the game and you're just enjoying it while you're out there and playing and everything. That's great.
Happy to be there. I never thought about even NBA until, like, I think it was my junior year after Jameer left. I had a lot of, like, NBA teams coming up to the gym, but I didn't even look at it. I was so naive. I just was like playing. I'm like, the coach was like, yo, the Hornets coming up here tomorrow. And I'm like, whatever. I know they're not here to see me. Like, you know, I mean, I just didn't believe, like, it could have possibly been a reality.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And which leads me to the next question, because you go undrafted in the NBA draft, but you're able to play some preseason games with the Clippers. What was that experience like, even just to step on an NBA court, to be able to play in the preseason games?
Man, it was like a dream. It was a dream because I played in Europe on top teams, and they take care of you as a player.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. Like, these guys get, like, with the hotels we're staying. It's like, we went to Russia, and the plane that we got on, this what blew my mind. I've never been on like a 2-level plane, but it wasn't like a regular 2-level. It was like flush from top to bottom, and the upstairs was like even better than the downstairs. And the whole downstairs was like first class seat.
Yes.
The second level was it was VIP. So all of the older guys, like the vets, was up there, like the guys that was like known, set up there. But it was just this was my first experience. We flew to Russia, and I'm like, the plane, I was like, this is unbelievable. I've never been on nothing like this. And then the hotels, and then the food, everything, the haircuts, like, everything is different. The haircuts, these guys coming to the gym to cut your hair. I'm like, these guys come to, you know how hard it is to get a haircut? Like, these guys coming to the gym. But I never forget, we was going through preseason, so we all had to take pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, yeah, man. I'm like, yo, man, I need a haircut. I don't got no haircut. So Elton Brand was like, look, my barber over there, like, I'll take care. Like, don't worry about it. So I go over there to get my haircut. So the dude, like, he's like, I never forget this. He was like, $100. I'm like, $100? Like, I'm used to paying like $15, $20 for haircuts at this time. You know, he's like $100. I was like, 100. I'm like, I don't have that. So I was like, oh, this guy's asking me, and I was a rookie. I'm like, I'm $100, but everything was just like, it was like 2 levels up. You know, guys are coming to practice in all kinds of cars. You know what I mean? Like, I never even seen these cars before. And then they don't have like the regular version. They got like the turbo sports, everything. Like, it was Maybachs, like things I never seen before. It was just, and I was living in Hollywood. I was staying with basically Cuttino Mobley the whole time I was out there. And Cuttino Mobley, like in Hollywood, he's like a really famous dude. So I didn't know this. Like, everybody know Cuttino. So we're going to parties, and I'm seeing Paris Hilton, Beyonce, everybody. You know what I mean? And it was a shock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being an NBA player, you know what I mean, it's just a different lifestyle that you got to be a mature individual to really, you know what I mean, know how to control yourself. And good thing for me, I was just, like I said, I was just living in the moment. All this was new to me. So I wasn't like overly excited. It was just like, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. I always knew I had to take care of business staying in the gym.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a whole different lifestyle. That's crazy. You got to experience that. Do you still talk to Kat at all, Cuttino? Yeah,
I talked to Kat probably like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
He's a Philly guy, so we all kind of stay in touch. You know, Alvin Williams, a lot of other guys, Jonathan Haynes, we all kind of stay in touch. I stay close to the veterans. That's
awesome. That's really cool that you get a couple of URI guys. That's awesome. You get to go out there and be out there with him at the same time. That's really cool. So what's your decision to go over to Europe, and like, how was that experience playing over in Europe?
Well, when I got released from the Clippers, I was doing extremely well. And I thought I was going to stay for the year. Like Sam Cassell, all these guys were telling me this because I was really playing exceptionally well. Yeah. And when I got released, they were trying to get me to go to it was the D League at this time.
Yep.
And it was kind of, I was like, the D League? I was like, ah. And I had these teams from like Israel calling me like, look, I got 100,000 to come right now. And I was like, dang, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, the D League is like what, like 1,500. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like this is like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna tell you a crazy story. You know, so I end up going to Europe, right?
Yep.
As I'm in Europe, like 2 months into the season, Sean Livingston tears his knee up.
Oh.
So I'm like, damn, if I would have stayed in the G League, I probably would have got the call up. You know what I mean? So all this is, now I'm like, damn, I'm killing him. But I'm having a great year. I'm in France. I'm having a great year in France. I'm leading the country in scoring. I'm doing really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I just wasn't, I didn't have time to chase the dream. You know, I could see what kind of game. I came home after that. I played in a couple summer leagues and I went to a few vet camps with the Spurs, with the Sixers. But I saw it was just, they were just stringing you along, giving you this hope of you could possibly make it. And I was like, look, I'm going to get the money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to keep chasing the dream unless I know it's something that's going to be guaranteed, that's going to help me financially to help my family. Because I had, you know what I mean? I was trying to help my mom and dad and everybody.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. I mean, that I think you made the right decision. I mean, it worked out well for you playing over in Europe. And like you said, you can't be getting string along until you get a guarantee that you're going to play in the league, which is
very seldom.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you, like you said, you got to take care of your family and everything like that. And playing over in France. And obviously, I mean, you won a championship in the Bundesliga, which is the German league, right? In 2015. What was that experience like? I mean,
that was crazy, man. It was crazy because we had a squad before we had a squad. We had Darius Miller, who like the year later went to the NBA, or the year after went to the NBA. He played with Kentucky, he went to New Orleans. We had Brad Wanamaker, who was just with the Celtics.
Yep.
We had Daniel Tice, who was just with the Celtics.
Yeah.
We had Josh Duncan, who I played against in the A-10. He went to Xavier, monster.
Oh, yes, I remember him.
Josh Duncan, you remember him? Like 6'10", can do everything.
Yeah.
And Trevor Mbakwe from Minnesota, Big Ten like defensive player of the year, something like that. Man, we were loaded. So it was crazy because Bamberg usually win. They're like one of the winningest teams in Germany. Yeah. So we played against Munich. Munich was tough too. They had a bunch of European guys that could just play. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we played them in championship. First game, I think I got the highlight on YouTube. Game, we down 20. They're talking trash going into half court. Like they stopped one of the players, Serbian dude. He like, yeah, man, I told these guys weren't Orlando. They was spanking us the whole year. We probably lost 5 games the whole year. Really? Probably 2 of the losses was to them. And they were like 20, 30-point losses. And we were smacking everybody else. So we couldn't beat this team. Halftime, first game, we down 20. And we just, second half, Brad, everybody opened it up. And then at the end, he hit me for the game-winning layup. And then it was just that series was one of the hardest series ever. And we won it. So that was that championship. I won 3 championships over there. That championship was like one of the most satisfying. I got one picture where I'm holding the cup with a bear in my hand. And I'm just screaming. You know, Germany is famous for their bears. So that was a crazy memory. That whole situation. Afterwards, we had a great time. It was beautiful.
That's so awesome. And that's great that you get to win a championship. And that's so cool that you get to play with all those guys. And I'm sure what's the series like out there? Like how many games do they play? They play 7-game series. What do they play in the championship?
I think we played best the championship was best of 5. I remember that. And it went to 5, you know.
Oh wow. Yeah. So
it was crazy, man. Crazy. European basketball is completely different. It's like no security.
Oh, really?
You know, I remember games in Italy where we would walk on the court and it was like everybody brought a roll of toilet paper. And we would walk on the court and everybody would just throw toilet paper on the court. And it was beautiful though to see it coming down, you know what I mean? But it was like, who does this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Horns going off. They're spitting on. I remember I played with a dude named Kyle Hines, the nicest guy you could ever meet. Yeah. And he's like a big rock though. So we're winning, we're walking to the locker room and somebody spit on him. So it's just like, it's overseas, it's ruthless, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But when you come from like where I came from, you know what I mean, Philadelphia, I've been in games where it's like, look, man, you make that foul shot, we're gonna shoot the playground up, and they shoot the playground up. You know what
Oh
I
my
mean?
God.
So
Yeah.
playing in these situations is kind of give you that feeling like of being home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they just going crazy, the fans are talking trash. So those games are the best games for me.
That's awesome.
And that's European basketball. They're going to be fouling you. They're not calling fouls. Physical game, really play with the mind instead of the body. It's amazing basketball.
That's so cool that you got the experience and play over there. And then, did you have a favorite place to like travel to or play at? And as well as, was there like a favorite food place that you had, or a favorite place to eat in what country?
Well, Italy was my favorite. I love it.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
culture, the architecture, the people. The people were so cool. You know what I mean? And it was so many places you go there. Everything about Italy, and the pizza. You know, it was these pizza shops that made unbelievable pizza. That when I came home, I couldn't even eat American pizza for about 5 years because I was like, look, it just don't even look. It don't even look good to me no more. You know what I mean? So the pizza in Italy and just Italy in total, it's a beautiful place.
It is very beautiful. The food, I totally agree with you. The food, like
Oh man,
pizzas.
it's so many places.
Yeah.
You got Tuscany, Leaning Towers of Pisa, uh, uh, Italy, Rome, Venice, Milan, and it's so many other spots that I'm not even naming. That's just beautiful. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Siena, it's so many places.
It's gorgeous. The crazy, the history too, when you're in Rome or like all those places and see how the architecture like you mentioned is just like beautiful.
And
like
the history. Like I remember the first time I played like an hour away from Rome, so we would go to Rome to go to the clubs or whatever. So I remember the first time we went to the club, and you know, you don't expect to see them, but they're like right there. You know what I mean? And the Coliseum is just like right there. So I'm like, so I stopped and I just walked around. I'm like, this is really man-made. It was crazy that men made that whole. It's huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's huge. So I'm like, this is crazy. This is man-made, like from the muscle.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's wild too, and it's crazy to, like that they could hold. They used to put water in there and drain it out, like do like ship battles in there, which is like absolutely, like you said, it's man made. It's like you don't even see that with what we have here today. It's just crazy what they're able to do.
It's unbelievable, unbelievable.
It's wild. So, and then after your whole European career is over with, you actually in 2018 you coached with the Celtics Summer League. What was that experience like to be able to coach and take a step back and get into coaching?
It was great because I was surrounded by a whole bunch of good coaches: Brad Stevens, Jerome Allen, Jay Leganera. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was surrounded by a bunch of good coaches. You know what I mean? And they were the one thing about it, they were prepared. I seen how prepared these coaches were, how much game film they watch, how much of it is really broken down into like a science. Even with the training, you know what I mean? Like it's really broken down. So, but the one thing I was surprised of, I thought it was going to be like this drill sergeant when you're in meetings, nobody could talk. Like it's really like a super relaxed atmosphere where everybody come, be themselves, practice, like, you know what I mean? And it was great, man. You know what I mean? That's another dream of mine to possibly become an NBA coach if that ever happens or whatever. But it was an amazing experience just to sit there and see how Coach Stevens runs his practices and stuff, and just get a little pieces from all the coaches and see how they do things, the trainers, the medical staff, everything. You learn, I try to pick up on everything.
That's awesome that you got to experience that and see that and be like, Coach Stevens and work with his staff.
And it was like we was the first ones in the new facility because it had just opened up when I got there. You know what I mean? So it was cool.
That's really cool. What's the new facility like over there?
Oh, it's beautiful, man. And saunas, hot tub, everything. You know, it's loaded in. It's unbelievable. These NBA guys get everything, man. These guys live a different life, man. It's crazy. Completely different.
Yeah. Woo. That's crazy. They make some good money, I guess. Like you see all the contracts. It's crazy what they make. So that but you know what? And so after everything, you know, your pro career is over, you work with the Celtics. What inspired you, you know, to be here in Rhode Island and to, you know, to start the Life of Hoops program and everything? Because it's really cool for someone your background to have start this for like kids in the area. So how did you what inspired you to start the Life of Hoops?
Well, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. And I used to look at these. I knew it was coming to the end, like my last couple of years, because I just wasn't having fun with it.
Yeah.
from coaches or whatever it may have you, whatever it was. I was kind of losing. It wasn't fun anymore. So I knew I wanted to stay around basketball. I knew I wanted to be an owner of my own business. I knew I didn't want to work for nobody. You know what I mean? I knew that like for a long time in my life there. I knew, you know what I mean? And I knew I wanted to work around with kids, you know what I mean? So I started training. Like I knew I was going to start training, but my wife started pushing me and she came up with the name. I was like, well, I need a name. And she was like, well, you know what I mean? Your life is all about hoops. So like life hoops. So I was like, that's kind of good. I'm like, I'm gonna use that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I reached out to a friend named Damon Preston. He now works with a record label, but he worked at Reebok at the time. So I reached out to him. He got in touch with his graphic design guy and made the logo for me. So I made these flyers and everything. And the first couple of weeks, I got like one person. That was like my godson. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
this maybe it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And then the second week, I got like two people. You know what I mean? But the first kid wasn't there, so I had one again. You know what I mean? Then that one person turned into two, and like all these flyers I made, none of them flyers helped. It was really through word of mouth that really the brand is really getting big now. Now I got my own clothes, hats, jackets, everything. You know what I mean? So it's really branded on me now.
That's cool. I gotta get one of those
Yeah, I
shirts
got
or
to
on
get
the
some gear,
hat.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'll send you some gear as well too. I'll have to send you some, so the roadie run back gear. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you know I'm a rocket.
yeah, sweet. I appreciate that. But what's it like, to start training and actually really make an impact on kids' lives and see them develop and become good basketball players themselves?
Well, the first thing is like I believe in what I can do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I really put a lot of time and preparation into it. So I really believe in myself. I mean, like anybody, I believe I'm the best out here. And I go into it with that mindset, knowing that every day you got to get better. You can't just be good now because it'll die out. So you got to keep coming up with new ways to teach. And that's the thing, you got to teach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really got to teach as if the kid never seen a basketball in his life. That's where I had the most fun at, because I like to see them come from completely not being able to do anything to whatever they become. You know what I mean? That's where I get the satisfaction. And you starting to see now, I worked with a lot of young kids. Now they're getting a little older, you know what I mean? And you can see the character that they're building, and they're starting to become accustomed to this hard work, dedication, determination, and discipline thing that I go off. And they're becoming better individuals and better young men because I'm holding them accountable and I know what it takes, like really. You know what I mean? I was the kid that fell in love with the workout, not the success.
Yeah.
I worked out 3 times a day when I was a player. I ran hills. I did all of the hard work. So it's nothing that I haven't seen or I haven't done myself. All of the things that I'm teaching, I've actually been through or done myself. You know what I mean? I can teach you how to prepare for a game mentally or different game situations, if they trap you or what kind of sets they throw at you. I'm educated enough in this sport to teach a kid and share these experiences, and that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? It's about, you can't just keep all the knowledge. You got to give it to people so the earth become a better earth, a better world. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm here for, to help these kids become better players and become better men. And then when they get older, I don't want anything from you. Just when you see me, just show me some love. That's all I want. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. I love it. I think that's amazing. And you can really tell you're passionate about it and passionate about the kids and what you do. And it's great that you're able to like give your experiences and pass them on, which I think is always giving back is like the most important things. Like I said, makes a better earth and everything. And how did you come up with those hashtags, the hard working, the dedication, and what made you like come up with those four things that you live by?
Because I used to watch these Floyd Mayweather documentaries, the
Yes,
little
I did.
24/7s.
Yeah.
So I used to watch him, and I'm like, yo, this dude really working out at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody doing this. You know what I mean? So little things like that would push me. I would be up late night watching it, like, yo. So I had a guy named Mr. Missoula that used to help me get into the gyms out here. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I would call him like, Mr. Missoula, I need you to get me to the gym. I would go into the gym at like 1 in the morning and stay until 3 in the morning. Just to push myself. I love pushing myself. One time I read a Michael Jordan book and I'm like, yo, he used to work at a 5 a.m. I want to see if I could do that for a whole summer. So I would push myself to do these things. So Floyd used to get in the gym at like 2 a.m. So now coming home from overseas, I'm older. I have a child now. I don't want to, I'm sometimes when you're overseas, you're dedicating a lot of your time to basketball practices. So when I came home, I wanted to spend a lot of time with my daughter and family time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how can I still work out, like all players do when you become an adult and have family. Like, I don't want to miss none of the family stuff. So what can I do? So I would have to work out early in the morning, possibly watch the baby all day or do something, while my wife worked. And then I would go to the gym and like I would want to still spend time with my wife when she got home from work, play with my daughter. And then when everybody go to sleep, I'm off at the gym. And I could sleep whenever I want. So I would just wake up in the morning. I didn't have a job at this point, what I mean? Because I'm still playing. You know what I mean? I was just, my life was dedicated to working out, but I had to get my workouts in. But I couldn't, I had to spend time with my daughter as well.
Yeah.
So things like that push me.
That's awesome. And I know what you mean. Like I did watch those like 24/7s and those documentaries about Floyd Mayweather. You always, every time you like say hard work, dedication.
Dedication.
Yeah.
And I kind of put the last two, like hard work, dedication, determination, and discipline, because you got to be determined. And more important, like you got to be disciplined. Like you have to be disciplined. It's going to be a lot, and it's sacrifice. Like my sacrifice that I'm now seeing is like I missed a lot of family time, like with my aunts, my uncles, my little cousins. And this is thing, like it's not hurting me, but it's like I'm thinking about it now, like, dang, I really missed a lot of time with my family because I'm in Europe 10 months. You don't get Thanksgiving breaks, you don't get Halloween breaks, you might get a Christmas break, and it'll be like 3 days, you know what I mean? So it takes like a half a day to fly there, you know what I mean? So you're not getting a lot of time with your family back home. You're living this amazing life, you know what I mean? But you're not back home with you got little cousins that's probably basketball players growing up that you can't even train them because you're chasing your own dream. And I was the person, like when I'm locked in on something, like I really have tunnel vision. So I don't see anything that I've been through, like I just lock in.
Yeah.
And it's a gift and a curse because you kind of put a lot of things out because you're so locked in, you know what I mean? But it's a gift because you're prepared for the journey and the situation ahead of you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all of it is a gift and a curse. Like I missed a lot of my friends, things that they've done in their life just because I was away chasing my dream. So it's a sacrifice too. So you got to be disciplined though, just to not lose it. You know what I mean? You're in Europe away from your family. You got to keep it together. You got to be disciplined to not go out and get drunk every day. Nobody's around. You got to be disciplined to work out every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's hard work, dedication, determination, and discipline.
I love it. I think it's amazing. I love the, your backstory too about it, of how you explained of like with the discipline and everything that you've been through in your life. And I love that you're able to pass it around because you're right. You do have to make the sacrifices to follow your dream. And sometimes it's not, people don't see it that way, but you have to do what you do is best for yourself and your family down the line. And that's exactly what you did. And I'm glad that you're installing that information into the kids that you work with and what Life of Hoops is all about as well too. That's great. I love that.
Right. That's what it's about, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And then when did you start AAU? When Life of Hoops AAU as well too? You guys do that as well?
Yep. So I started that around 2018. I started the training, so I'm getting more kids and I'm training. I'm like, all right, I don't get a chance to see the games that these kids are playing because I'm working so much. I'm still trying to build the brand, you know what I mean? Until I can be like, all right, I'm not working. I'll get somebody else to do it today, so I'm not seeing them play. So I was like, how can I know I'm training the kid the right way if I haven't seen him play?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what am I doing? So I said, let me at least, I'm talking to all these kids, they all play AAU. So I'm like, AAU is this big now? Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, this thing is like, this is what I come home and I'm like, this is a whole new world to me. I don't know nothing about nothing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, AAU. They like, yeah, we play AAU. Like, this is big time, coach. We going here. So I'm like, really? So I'm like, all right, well, what's the point of sending you away when I can coach you? And then I'll know what exactly I got to do to train you so you can become the player that I envision or I see you becoming. You know what I mean? So this is why I started the AAU. Now I can get it. Now I want it to become like a whole program, a whole developmental program from top to bottom. You know what I mean? So that's the goal.
That's awesome. I love it. And like you said, the AAU thing, I didn't even know AAU was that big until like my nephew started getting into it. And like, especially now at the high school level, it's like, it's huge. It's a big thing now. It's crazy. That's great. You were able to get into it. And that's awesome that you have like this huge program, developmental program and everything. So that's awesome. How can like anyone get in contact with you that's interested in working out with you in the Life of Hoops?
So you can always reach me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Life of Hoop, at Life of Hoop, LIFE0FH00PS. On all those platforms. You can call me 215-279-3482. And or you can reach me at lifehoops.org online. So I'm always available. I reach out to all, try to get back to people as fast as possible. But I'm here and trying to create something special.
I love it. That's great. So if anyone's interested, especially Coach Robinson's background and everything that he's doing, coaching and like his professional training, I'm sure he can give you all the tools that you need to be successful as a basketball player, and as well as be successful off the court as well too. So that's awesome that Coach Robinson is here in our neighborhood and in Rhode Island. So it's great to have him here, and I'm glad that he's here to give you guys lessons that you need.
Yes, man. Come and get some work.
Yeah, definitely, Coach. Yeah, exactly. Coach, I got a few questions left that are just for fun and just for the listeners to get to know you, stuff that's just outside of basketball and life hoops and everything. First thing is, what's your favorite food?
I'm a complicated person. My favorite food, I don't even really have a favorite food. Like, I'm that guy. I don't have a favorite food. But probably lasagna. I'll say lasagna, like a good lasagna. Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. You can't go wrong with good lasagna.
Yeah.
What's your do you have a favorite music or favorite artist?
Nope. I don't have a favorite artist. I love a whole bunch of different artists. I would say rapper, Biggie Smalls is my favorite rapper, Notorious B.I.G., but I listen to all kinds of music, old school soul, doo-wop, hip hop, R&B, oldies, pop. You know what I mean? I don't listen to country music, but I listen to almost everything. I don't have a favorite basketball team because I just love a whole bunch of different players. Michael Jordan was my favorite, but I got a lot of other favorites like Kobe and AI. But I do have a favorite. All the Philadelphia teams in every other sport, I have a favorite.
Is it the Eagles?
With all my Philly teams, yeah, the Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, all of them.
What do you think about the Eagles' Super Bowl win?
Oh man, I mean, I'm the guy. Like, you got to X that one out. We got to get another one now, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's gonna be tough, but we need another one now. You know what I mean? I'm ready for another one. Patriots winning all these goddamn Super Bowls. Like, we need one.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then last question. I usually ask everyone this one just for fun, but favorite thing outside of just basketball and the training and everything. What do you like to do outside of that?
Just spend time with my family, man. Like, I mean, really, I'm the guy that go to work and come home. Like, you know what I mean? I love going to the beach though. The beach is just like, the water is just the water. I just love it. I could just like fall asleep on the water all the time. So being on the beach is like my favorite thing to ever do.
I love it. Yeah, you can't beat the beach, especially when you're in Rhode Island. We got some really nice beaches here, and just
that's what got me. When I went to the beach, when I came here and we was on the beach, I just was like, the beach is so peaceful. You can just really think when you're on when you by that water. And I never forget, after the party, I just was on the beach just thinking like, I could get used to this.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm coming.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad our beaches told you to play at URI. Coach, this is a lot of fun. I'm very excited that, to have you on the show. Like I said, was a big fan of yours when you're playing at URI, and also a big fan of yours of now what you're doing with Life of Hoops. So I really appreciate you being on the show. Do you have any questions, comments, or statements before we sign off?
No, man. I just thanks for the time you gave me, man. And I look forward to the future.
Yeah, of course. Definitely. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, Coach. Have a good one.
You too, man. Thank you.
Yeah.